Introduction. Have you ever wondered what it means to truly conquer death? Is it possible to rise above the fear of death and discover a way to embrace life fully, without limitations? In today's video, we're diving into the powerful teachings of Buddha Yamantaka, the Conqueror of Death. His wisdom shows us how to transcend the fear of death and liberate ourselves from the chains of mortality. Yamantaka's fierce yet compassionate energy holds the key to transforming our fear of death into a powerful tool for spiritual growth. Stay with us until the end, because if we reach 5,000 likes, I'll share an in-depth video on Buddha Shakyamuni and his first disciples. Let's journey together into the heart of fearlessness. Yamantaka, whose name means the destroyer of the Lord of Death, represents the embodiment of ultimate fearlessness. His fierce appearance may be intimidating at first, but his energy serves to protect and guide us beyond the limitations of fear, specifically the fear of death. In Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism, Yamantaka is known as a wrathful deity who transforms negative emotions into enlightened awareness. Why does Yamantaka take such a fearsome form? The answer lies in his mission, to confront the fear of death head-on and help us transcend it. His appearance reminds us that the path to enlightenment is not always gentle. Sometimes we must face our deepest fears and challenges to break free from the illusions that bind us. Yamantaka's fierceness is the ultimate expression of compassion in action, destroying ignorance and delusions for the sake of our liberation. In Tibetan Buddhism, Yamantaka is seen as the wrathful manifestation of Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. This connection between wisdom and fearlessness is vital. True wisdom allows us to see through the illusions of life and death, understanding that death is not an end but a transformation. By embracing Yamantaka's energy, we learn to view death not as a final defeat, but as a necessary step in the cycle of rebirth and enlightenment. One of Yamantaka's core teachings is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life, including our bodies and experiences, is temporary. However, by acknowledging this truth and accepting it fully, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes from clinging to what must eventually pass. In this way, Yamantaka encourages us to live with an open heart, unburdened by the fear of loss or death. Yamantaka's wrathful form is also a symbol of inner strength. His many arms, holding weapons and tools, represent the diverse methods he uses to cut through ignorance and fear. Each tool symbolizes a different aspect of wisdom and power that we can call upon when facing our own challenges. Yamantaka shows us that we too have the strength and wisdom within us to overcome any obstacle, even death. Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. Yamantaka's teachings remind us of this profound truth. By learning to accept death as part of the natural flow of existence, we can live more fully and fearlessly. The fear of death often limits our potential, making us hold back from truly embracing life's opportunities. But with Yamantaka's guidance, we can break free from these limitations and experience life in its fullness. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the process of dying is described as a journey through different stages, known as the bardos. Yamantaka is a protector and guide through these stages, helping souls navigate the transition between life and death. His presence in this process reassures us that death is not something to be feared, but rather a gateway to deeper spiritual understanding and growth. Yamantaka's fierce compassion is a reminder that sometimes we must face discomfort and challenge in order to grow. Just as a sword must be forged in fire, our spiritual journey requires us to confront our fears head-on. Yamantaka helps us see that the fear of death is not something to be avoided, but embraced and transformed into a source of empowerment. When we think of death, we often associate it with loss of life, of loved ones, of experiences. But Yamantaka teaches us that death is not about losing. Rather, it is about transitioning. Just as the sun sets only to rise again, death is part of the eternal cycle of rebirth and renewal. Understanding this truth frees us from the fear of death, allowing us to live with greater clarity and purpose. To conquer death is to conquer fear. This quote reflects Yamantaka's core message. When we learn to conquer the fear of death, we unlock the door to true freedom. Without the constant anxiety of what will happen at the end of our lives, we can focus on the present moment, fully embracing every experience with joy and courage. Yamantaka's role as a protector is particularly important in Vajrayana Buddhism. He is invoked by practitioners to protect them from spiritual dangers and obstacles. His wrathful form may be intimidating, but it serves as a powerful reminder that true protection comes not from avoiding challenges, but from confronting and overcoming them with strength and determination. Yamantaka's teachings are especially relevant in our modern world, where the fear of death is often magnified by uncertainty and change. His wisdom shows us that by facing our fears, whether it's the fear of death, failure, or the unknown, we can emerge stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate toward ourselves and others. The symbolism of Yamantaka's many eyes and heads represents his ability to see through all illusions and deceptions. He sees life and death with perfect clarity, and through his wisdom, we can learn to do the same. By adopting his perspective, we begin to understand that death is not something to be feared, but a transition that allows for new growth and transformation. Yamantaka's Vajra, a spiritual weapon symbolizing both thunderbolt and diamond, is an important tool in his teachings. The Vajra represents indestructible truth. Just as a diamond is unbreakable, so too is the truth of impermanence and the cycle of life and death. Yamantaka wields this Vajra to destroy ignorance and fear, reminding us that truth and wisdom are our greatest allies in overcoming death. In many depictions, Yamantaka is shown trampling on Yama, the Lord of Death, symbolizing his victory over the forces of mortality. This powerful imagery serves as a reminder that while death may be inevitable, it does not hold ultimate power over us. Through Yamantaka's guidance, we learn that the real battle is not against death itself, but against the fear and ignorance that surround it. Yamantaka's teachings extend beyond just conquering the fear of death. They also teach us how to live fully. When we are no longer afraid of death, we become free to live with greater intention and presence. We are no longer bound by the constraints of time or the worry of what may come, but instead can focus on making the most of every moment. Fear is the mind killer. This quote, often attributed to the novel Dune, resonates deeply with Yamantaka's philosophy. Fear of death is often the root of all fears, and by confronting and conquering this ultimate fear, we free ourselves from the many smaller fears that hold us back in life. Yamantaka's teachings give us the tools to face not only death, but all of life's challenges with courage. As the Conqueror of Death, Yamantaka also embodies the concept of rebirth. Death is not an end, but a beginning, an opportunity for transformation and renewal. Through his teachings, we learn that by letting go of our attachment to this life, we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities of future lives and experiences. Yamantaka's energy is not just about destruction, it is also about transformation. Just as a forest must burn to make way for new growth, Yamantaka's fierce energy helps us burn away our fears, attachments, and delusions, clearing the way for spiritual growth and enlightenment. His teachings inspire us to embrace change and transformation as natural parts of life. In conclusion, Buddha Yamantaka teaches us that to truly live, we must first conquer the fear of death. His wisdom and fierce compassion guide us to face our deepest fears, empowering us to live with greater clarity, courage, and purpose. By embracing Yamantaka's teachings, we unlock the strength within ourselves to not only face death, but to live life fully, without fear or limitation. Conclusion. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the teachings of Buddha Yamantaka, the Conqueror of Death. If you found this video enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Remember, if we reach 5,000 likes, I'll release an in-depth video on Buddha Shakyamuni and his first disciples. Let's continue our journey toward fearlessness and spiritual growth together.